Into another edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for coming along, hanging out. Apologies for no stream yesterday. Had a whole bunch of things that had to get done today, and so just didn't happen yesterday. But I'm gonna tell a little bit of a story because I did end up going out of town yesterday to sell some V Friends cards of all things from like 2-3 years ago. Those cards that you got from holding different V Friends. Yeah, we sold them in person. Somebody actually reached out and wanted Web3 merchandise. It's absolutely phenomenal. Talking a little bit about the esports scene, talking a little bit about different announcements that have happened, showing some absolutely delicious donuts. Apparently, there's this huge collection that is absolutely screwed over a ton of different people that were working on collab lists. We're going to talk on that. The title of the stream talking about the dangers of digital assets, Web3, all that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit of clickbait, but let's have some discussions as we go through here. Would love for you guys to share the stream if you enjoy these every single day. And of course, drop that like if you enjoy it. All right. From Canada's sweetest bakery. If you guys haven't seen, I posted some donuts the other day, and these things absolutely delicious. Highly recommend. If you need the place to go, if you're in the Canada region, let me know and I will let you know where to go. All right, so there was this Medium article done forever ago that was just breaking down the VFriends cards and talking about just how the rarity works and all that kind of jazz. And to be honest, I never really understood how the game even worked. And again, I didn't put any effort into that, so that onus is completely on me. But just wanting to go over the story of meeting the individual to sell these. So I had some stuff listed on like Facebook Marketplace, and I got reached out to because one of those items was a VFriend item, but it wasn't the cards. And they were like, "Hey, do you happen to have the cards? Because I am interested in them." And I was like, absolutely. So that's it. We just ended up meeting, making the transfer, everything all good. Except for the fact that both of us had to drive an hour away to be able to meet at the spot. There wasn't like a guaranteed way of knowing, like, hey, there was even a conversation journey. It's like, I was kind of open for like the shipping, but like, we don't really know each other type deal. And I'm like, man, there's a way these smart contracts, these digital assets, you like collecting these things, redeeming, knowing that you're going to get them. I think there is such a good realm for RWAs, for collectibles, all that kind of stuff to happen on chain. I get there's the component of like wanting to hold things physically and own them, but at the same time, I'm more of convenience than any of the other factors that are out there. So there was this article that came out on October 11th from Cointelegraph saying NFT holders sue art gallery alleging it broke metaverse promises. And it started going over this collection called Meta Eagle Club. And I've never heard of that in my entire life, but they had 12,000 of these NFTs, and somehow they ended up selling for 13 million, which is like, oh my goodness, that's an absolute bag. But looking at these things, do you guys remember back in the day when almost anything that was related to like 3D NFTs just all ended up not being any good whatsoever? It was really, really weird that there was just this big, long-standing thing that anything that was 3D was a no-go zone. So there was this article that was talking about how there's a company, federation for a better terminology here, that's looking at identifying Olympic esport events. Now, I listened to I'm forgetting the name. The Four Horsemen, Monte Cristo, Thorn, if you guys happen to be in the esports scene, League of Legends, they cover that, but also kind of the wide scope of things. And they've been talking a lot about how Saudi Arabia is becoming a huge component of this, where the inaugural esports games will take place in Saudi Arabia in partnership with the National Olympic Committee of Saudi Arabia for the next 12 years. So we've had the Esports World Cup, where almost every single video game was there, had a ton of people that went to it, also had a lot of players saying, well, I'm not going to it for moral reasons, which is totally fine. But it is kind of crazy to think about for anybody that's not aware that kind of the esports genre as a whole really is at this weird point where Saudi Arabia is stepping in, trying to offer multiples on top of what some of these other games are offering within their own championships for players to come out and compete within their region. And also, like, for this Olympic esports, during that podcast, and the reason that I wanted to reference it was they highlighted that there was some random game that was made by somebody that had like a connection to Saudi Arabia already, and it was like some game that they were just like, nah, like this would never ever actually be like a legitimate thing. It doesn't have the player base, it doesn't have anything, and there's so some shady happenings happening already on that front. So again, back to my argument as per usual, blockchain gaming esports. I'm just saying there's going to be a realm where that gets way more accepted, because at the same time as Saudi Arabia is offering a lot of things, there's a lot of people that are very against everything to do with Saudi Arabia. So do we actually have a huge army that's like, hey, well, if you can do stuff on the blockchain, well, then you're picking your poison if people are still disliking the industry. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Anyway, record crypto activity in 2024, led by Solana's 100 million active addresses. Kind of crazy, but when you go down, findings that the crypto activity and usage have reached all-time highs, with a total of 220 million monthly active crypto addresses as of September. This marks a tripling in growth since the end of 2023, largely driven by the explosive rise of Solana, which accounted for nearly 100 million active addresses. Other prominent networks include Near, Coinbase's Layer 2, Base, and Ethereum. Nice. So we're talking about partnerships and whatnot. I meant to have this a little bit later, so apologies for bringing it up now. But this morning I woke up and Futureverse made an announcement. Yo, what's going on? We still super bullish on Futureverse? Get to that in just a momentary. Good to see you, Mr. Trader Pops. And it was like this collaboration between Lizard Labs and Futureverse. Now, Lizard Labs is working, I'm pretty sure, with several other collections that are out there, kind of doing like building on top of, you know how everybody talks about like this interoperability and using assets between everything. From my understanding, Lizard Labs is trying to do that variant where they can kind of enhance other games' assets, have kind of their own game and their own ecosystem as well, but also kind of like, hey, we're associated with all this kind of stuff. Similarly to how CyberKongz has their own thing, but if you remember in the early days, they were saying, hey, we're going to go super huge in like Guild of Guardians, Axie Infinity, and there was one, Ember Sword might have been the other one, and so everybody's having these communities, but then like kind of branching out elsewhere. And so basically you sign in with your wallet, connect to it. You can follow the Lizard account, the Discord, do all these like different quests or whatever. And you can end up being eligible for the Lizard token when they do it. Now, what's interesting with this is when we look at the whole landscape of partnerships and whatnot, most people say collabs in Web3 are just BS. And that's because I think we've had a lot of collections come out, try to do things. You run into issues with treasuries, issues with team members, issues with just like logistics in general, overreaching what they're doing. And so just, I mean, early days, everything's kind of like all been over the place. But I think at the point now, generally speaking, it's a positive. So I'm curious to see how this kind of partnership expands and goes outward. And we'll get to more of that in a second. I got a whole bunch of tabs, so apologies. There's more to that story in a momentary. But super bullish on Futureverse. I think the tweets from Aaron yesterday were very enlightening. I'm glad that they finally happened. I think that it was super needed. I don't get why the Discord continually goes over it every single day. It's really, really stupid and awful to be in there right now. Obviously, the team can't kick the people that are in there, but there is definitely like an absolute mental lapse of like not understanding different point of views, people going over hashing the same thing, carrying what other people say. Just shut up and hang out. Like it is awful. It is awful. Like, just let things happen. If you don't like it, sell your stuff, move on. That's what a lot of collections used to do. But now people are super weird and complaining about the same stuff. However, like, again, I get it. And you have to realize that there's going to be a lot of people that you're not going to agree with within life in general. And that's okay. But we're at this inflection point across the entire space. We can pick out 105 different collections. You take out leverage of them. They're not at the heights they are. They have the same FUD because the price hasn't held up for whatever reason across the different collections. So lending's played a huge part in it, and just development as a whole. I think whatever you got into years ago, almost every single one of them that are still doing anything has the, oh, you guys have, you were supposed to do this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, obviously there's a huge amount of changes from regulations to opening up, and the space has completely changed over those years. So I wouldn't count anybody out that has a massive war chest. Now, speaking of which, Doodles, sheesh. We have all these questions about what the hell is going on with this skeleton, because we highlighted the other day where this got put into the team's official Doodle wallet, right? Like, fantastic. Okay, cool. Are they using this for their IP? I saw some people posting about how they thought that there was a box, and excuse me because I'm not over familiar with everything that's going on with Doodles, but there's like a box draw or something that's coming up that's similar to their Rubik's Cube Doodles collab, where if you bought these Rubik's Cubes branded Doodles digital assets, there was a chance of getting like a one-of-one Doodles, one-of-one. It's a Rubik's Cube. And so the thought of that happening, which again, I don't know if it's verified or not, is like, okay, so do we just kind of have Doodles have these higher end assets that they end up just kind of having a raffle of, hey, you buy this thing for $10, but you might get an NFT that's worth 50 ETH. I mean, everybody's going to do that. Does Zoodles go that route if they just did it after the Rubik's Cube? Potentially. Yo, is that DJ Toasty? Yo, what's up, Broom? Pacino? Yo, are you having a cappuccino in the morning? Brumalowski, my man. Why the hell does this come up every single year? Unbelievable. Guys, listen, we are way past this, but people want headlines. Justin Bieber does it, and shitting on NFTs does it. So, of course, we see it all the time. From Historic Memes, which is an account that has 5.4 million followers, Justin Bieber bought this Bored Ape NFT in January for $1.3 million. I don't think this was in January of this year. Hopefully, you guys are fully aware of that. Absolute brain dead idiots. For $1.3 million, but today it's only worth around $60,000. So first of all, he didn't technically buy it. MoonPay bought it. And that's been known for everything Post Malone, the Paris Hilton, the Jimmy Fallon. I was thinking of like DaBaby, whatever. Like I saw some TikTok the other day where there was some mega streamer that gave that guy like $200,000, and thinking back to like apes when they're at the height, I'm pretty sure that guy got like a Bored Ape. And so was that actually the reason that he went to that show? Because at the Ape Fest, I think it was like the first or second one, that guy came out, played like 4 songs and left. And I'm like, okay, so I guess that's the same thing. $200,000. I guess that's how you get people to talk and perform at these events. Okay, so Ape Fest is on in Lisbon, and we'll, you know, over the next few days, probably recap, today and then Monday, recap some of the happenings that were going on this weekend. There's a ton of people going there, so super cool to see. But the Ape Accelerator account highlighting what's been going on or what will be there. But the TLDR, 40 plus projects in food and beverage section. Ape Fest strengthening cultural bonds. Dookie Dash Unclogged integrates Web3 drink IPs, blending the Web3 and physical world. So we saw the Bape and BAYC brand that came out, the Friends Chocolate. They're going to be there. We have Bored and Hungry that's out hanging around. Bored Bagels. That was the thing. I didn't even know if that was going to exist. I didn't know Ape Fest was still going on. Yeah. I think they're pretty committed to doing that every single year. There's a lot of people that love traveling. Apparently, I'm not one of them, but cool to see. JCS Snacks is heading to Lisbon. Bored Salted Peanuts. Again, a lot of these are just businesses that are utilizing the Bored Ape IP. We have Ape Water. What else? Just that's more Universe beverages. Man, there's a lot of people that are doing beverages. Holy smokes, more beverages, more beverages. Bored Brewing. Wait, hold on. That doesn't look like a drink. Bored Brewing came up with astonishing brew to earn model. Pay over $20 with Ape, get $10 Ape back. You can choose the most premium blends from Mutra, Guatemala, Colombia, Brazil, and more. That sounds like a coffee brand. More drinks and wines. What's this one? Bored Munchies. More drink. Man, the amount of people doing drinks out there. Holy smokes. That's a saturated industry. But still, I think we'll highlight a tweet here in a little bit of some of the imagery from that. And if not, stay tuned for Monday. All right, G-Funk saying over at Pixel Vault, things are happening. Thank Ape is putting in 50,000 Ape, which is, I think it's like 80 cents or something, but let's just say it's dollars. So $50,000 of Ape going into Battle Plan, as I've continually reiterated. If you're a gamer, just pay attention to what's going on in Web3. You don't really have to own anything. And a lot of times, if you're just decent at these games, you have a Web3 wallet of some sort, you are able to make a decent amount of anything if you're good at any of these games. And Zedrun also coming from Reboot and Pixel Vault. They just had a little bit of a handshake. We're off to the races at Zedrun. So Reboot, Zed collaborating. Zed is one of those games that was really, really popular back in the day. It got like a little bit more complex where there was all these different breeds. Obviously, the money kind of associated with it from the early days compared to now, where the hype, the speculation, and Zed being kind of one of the only Web3 games at that point back in the day, did kind of put it aside. But now, this is why I'm saying it's super stupid to count out anybody and just say, these things aren't going to hit mass adoption. That collection is dead forever. I think there's like ones when we can like say that are like really, really not doing anything whatsoever in terms of updates, in terms of community interest, but anything that is actively delivering stuff, anything that does have a community, even though if it's like a hardcore one and it's not like a bigger audience, I think that there is room to bring them together, to be honest. Okay, so this is kind of wild where the Zed never gave up. I respect it. Yo, DJ Toasty, facts, brother. So League of Legends, we've talked about it a lot, but they've launched a skin before for what, like this really big player, right? Arguably greatest of all time type deal, and it was $500 of the in-game currency. So let's assume that you like play Call of Duty, you understand COD points, you go out there and you want like a really phenomenal skin, and they charge you like $500 for it. Like, holy hell, right? And it just came out that they are going to do one for this Jinx character. The other one was for Ari, which is just like the in-game character. But for this new Jinx skin, it's going to be 3,200 RP, which is $250. $250. Okay. So then my point of the conversation then kind of goes back to, well, what can you do with that skin if you decide to quit? Absolutely nothing. You can't sell the account because that's against terms of service. I mean, maybe you can refund it. Apparently, like within like a year, you're able to refund things, but you'd also have to quit within that same year that you spent that much money on a skin in a video game. Or one day, if they decide to open up the marketplace, that would make sense, where obviously people would probably resell that. Would it be for that same $250 price point? Probably not, unless the demand was really, really there. But that's what makes things exclusive. And if there's royalty attached, phenomenal, right? The game who creates League of Legends would benefit from that. And so these things are so painfully obvious if you look out there, and there's all these conversations, right? Like within like the casters and people that are covering it, like talking about how like, oh, I don't care if they like make skins for whales, right? And it's not about that. For me, I'm like, okay, it's whatever. Like people like video games are going to go out and spend it. I think it's stupid when people go out and like spend like insane amounts on like a single item of clothing, right? Like super expensive hat, purse, whatever it be. But who the hell am I to judge, right? Everybody's going to do their own thing. But the problem is, the flexibility that you have with some of those other physical items is you can just sell it for whatever price. But for these digital ones, there's still that barrier. Hello, Web3. And Gabe saying at the VanEck US liquid token strategy, our view is that gaming is one of the most promising categories this cycle. True. I think we were hoodwinked pretty freaking bad last time. I mean, obviously, when we look at the past 2 months, right now, Parallel off the grid. I mean, there's still other games that are doing things, right? Like Axie Infinity, Pixels Online, like the list can go on and on. Zedrun, and there was a lot of hype around like the Web3 gaming narrative for like a long ass time. And it feels like it's like we've had like niche hits here and there, but it's never been like as a category where I think like, okay, things are starting to look like that might actually be the case in 2024, more like 2025. We're only 2 years late, guys, but we're getting there. Hell yeah. Thus far, we've made 2 key long-term bets in the space, Parallel and Redacted. Announcing soon, third below on how I view gaming and our key bets. We're not going to go through the Fed, the thread, not the Fed, but very cool to see such a big player making a big bet within Web3. And interesting that it is Parallel as well. So then my question kind of goes to, do we know like at what point they made the big bet on Parallel? Did they go for the NFTs? Did they go for the token? Is this something where like they own part of like the equity, you know what I mean? Like what's the behind the scenes of what's going on there? Because that's kind of stuff that I'd be interested in. Some better games are coming out finally. True. Okay, so within meme coins, there's been problems where celebrities come in, like Jason Derulo, say, this is going to be the best thing ever, and then they do absolutely nothing for it. But I do think that there are celebrities that play kind of like a role within everything Web3. I mean, think of Snoop Dogg. He was involved in like every single collection back in the day, has his own avatars for different things, but like generally speaking, had an interest within Web3 that seemed obviously like, all right, they want to make money, but also that they were like generally interested, not just going to kind of drop things. And so I don't know how to react anymore, where Floki here, which is a big token, is now saying that Valhalla, Floki's revolutionary MMORPG, welcomes Hafthor Bjornsson as an official ambassador. So if you know the Mountain, not the original Mountain, but in Game of Thrones, the Mountain characters got switched a whole bunch of times. He played it in the later half, World's Strongest Man winner, I believe, at different points. Very, very big name. And yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that they're building an MMORPG. I also hate that they're calling it revolutionary. Like, I mean, guys, listen, if we're gonna make a bet right now, if we're gonna make a bet here live, do we think this MMORPG is gonna be revolutionary? I would say no, but we'll see. We'll see. Listen, yeah, I'm open. I'm open to it. Parallel and OTG are already better to play than anything from the Axie play to earn era. You know, I didn't actually mind the concept of Axie. Like the game was okay for sure. But I didn't really like Off the Grid. I'm not going to lie. This might be an absolute hot take, but let's go over this tweet and then get down to that. Apex saying, Off the Grid is nearing 1 million daily active users. They're carrying crypto gaming on their own right now, but how far ahead are they from the rest? Let's look at some of the player stats of live crypto games. So, phenomenal time in Toasty. We'll go into the rest of this tweet in a second, but I want to talk about Off the Grid because I actually downloaded and tried it the other day. And so if you don't know what Off the Grid is, basically it is a game that is a battle royale. And it opens up, and the graphics, the opening scene on it is so good. It, like, if I was going to give it praise for one thing, they nailed the storytelling of the opening. The graphics of everything when you start looks like genuinely phenomenal. And basically the concept is kind of like the Hunger Games of you can win like $500 million in this world. And if you want to play in this game, we cut off your arms and legs and then you get put in this arena. So throughout the game, if you can remember playing Warzone or Fortnite, there's shields, right? Where you drink some blue jugs or put in armor packs within the game, and then they have your different accessories and whatnot you can get. And one of the main components within Off the Grid is that you can attach these arms that you just open up from like loot boxes that are sitting around the battlefield, and it will give you perks to, you know, move faster. If you take damage and lose a limb, you'll have like a character that's like working with one arm, trying to aim the opposite way. And so it's kind of cool that way, but it's really busy. Like the amount of noise that's going on in terms of there's an announcer always talking about different things. There's a very congested kind of city center as the map rolls out. The guns you start with are absolutely terrible. So they really try to push you towards paying that fee to purchase the Off the Grid Pro variation where you can like upgrade your loadout and that kind of stuff. And the time to kill is just like instant. Holy smokes. Like you drop in, you get blown up right away. I tried playing for like, I want to say 45 minutes to an hour, and I enjoy the hell out of Fortnite. I enjoy the hell out of Warzone. I really, really grinded both games for quite some time, Warzone more so. And I like after the 45 minutes, I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm like not good at this, but it doesn't feel that fun. There's no tutorial for it whatsoever. So you really have to kind of mess around and play with it. I think if there was like an open practice field, even if there wasn't other people in there to understand the arms, the legs, the different things you can do with the abilities for like the smoke grenades, whatever it is. And so the other day when we were seeing the article that came up from Forbes really ripping on Ninja, Tim the Tatman, and all of them for saying all these praises for them and saying like, is it accurate? At the time when I read that, I was like, man, like these guys are really like crapping on Web3. This is weird. And then playing the game, I'm like, you know, it's probably better than most things that I've played, like within Web3, but like I don't really find it that fun. So like I kind of agree with the take of like, why are these guys going over the top of like, this is great, because it still feels like they're missing a lot of components. I get that it's beta. Graphics again look good. I've seen a lot of people complain about how the game runs on their PC if they don't have like kind of like a higher end one. Mine was like kind of slow initially, but it felt like after things like loaded after the first or second game, it felt a lot smoother. Graphically, again, it was enormous, but I mean, I think they're paying like the streamers a ton of money. And so I'm just curious how it lasts over time. And I guess if I was going to say like a concern right now is that, okay, let's say that this is actually like a week of it being in the news and then nothing, which is what I've talked about before. Is like, it seems that we have a game that comes out, it launches, we'll take Guild of Guardians as an example. They have the marketing. I mean, we could kind of throw Illuvium within that as well, because it felt like I heard Illuvium all the time on its opening week. And then it's like, you know, I see things here and there, but it's not as prevalent as it once was. And I really, really hope that that's not the case with Off the Grid, where it's like, hey, this is the talk of the town for 2 weeks, and then nobody talks about it. That's a tough look. DJ Toasty, valid. I'm not a fan either, but I just don't play shooters too much. Nope, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. Okay, so back to the thread that we're going over for game stats. So Prelude, it's important to note that different games are in different stages. Some are running big events right now. Some just went live. Agree. Oh, Prelude. I don't know why. I thought the Prelude meant that Prelude was called the game, but that's just it's Prelude. All right, play off the grid, desktop and consoles, 600,000, 800,000 daily active users. The biggest game release of a crypto game ever, partnered with many of the biggest streamers out there. Viewers watched off the grid streams for over 2.5 million hours on Twitch so far, and the game is great. And again, like, solid, but you can see over on like the left hand side here, there's the like the arms, the legs, the extra components for it. You can see the different weapons on the right, and again, I just felt like the weapons kind of didn't really feel good. You have to play like a decent amount of time to get familiar with things. The no tutorial, the amount of sounders from the world itself, again, just personal take. But So Rare, desktop and mobile, this is one of the sporting games out there. You should be aware of So Rare fantasy games for different sports. They had 200,000 monthly active users and did 200 million in volume in the last year. NBA season is starting soon, which could increase the user numbers. It's always funny because we keep having these things within sports of, man, where the collections are going to moon that are associated with sports season when they're starting, and then everybody like dumps at the end of the year, and then it's like this cycle that goes over and over and over again. It's phenomenal. Pixels Online, it's desktop and mobile, 400 to 500,000 daily active users, 170 million market cap for the Pixel token. Pixels peaked at 1 million daily active users a few months ago and is still posting solid user numbers. The game did $1 million in fees during the last month. That's kind of crazy. Pirate Nation, 50 to 60,000 daily active users, 40 million market cap for Pirate. I mean, do we put Pirate Nation kind of within like that same frame that I was mentioning a moment ago, where it felt like one of the games that got a lot of attention for the first like couple weeks or month, and then I see it on the timeline, but it's not all over my timeline. And again, like I follow a lot of different things, and I look at the For You page a lot. But anyway, $50,000 to $60,000, 40 million for the token. Pirate Nation is the only fully on-chain game with serious player numbers. Their app chains are two of the most used chains in crypto. They just opened the game up again, and mobile is coming soon. And it's funny though, because they're saying like this is one of the most active, right? But then all the attention, everybody just talks about off the grid right now. All about that narrative. Damn, So Rare did 250 million. Kind of crazy. Fen Pent. The hell is this? Friend Pet. Friend Pet on base. Is this like Tamagotchi? It's on desktop, 1,000 to 2,000 daily active users, 10 mil market cap. Perfect example of the potential high spending power of crypto degens with relatively low user numbers. They did over 500 ETH in lifetime fees. Fantasy Top. This one. So Fantasy Top was all over the timeline a couple months ago, and now I just don't see it at all. 1,000 daily active on-chain users. Another example of low users, high spend. They're averaging between 40 to 100 ETH in daily trading volume, plus still filling tactics. Infinigods with King of Destiny. It's mobile, 30,000 daily active users. This is without paid user acquisition. Their first P2A. Why do I play to? Does it mean play to earn? P2A will go live soon, which should boost player numbers. Instagram is working on several other F2P casual mobile games too. IG, Kings of Destiny, IG. They're just at Infinigods. Okay, so the IG is like OW for Overwatch. It's like that. I was like, what? Gotcha. And that one was like Tamagotchi. Yay, Toasty. Okay, this man knows what he's doing. Seeing the numbers of .eth handles diminish by the day. Do you guys have a .eth name in your X bio? Discord? You have it anywhere? Feels like the end of an era. It's funny because I think arguably, like, so I have like a .eth name too, and like I think I put it as my bio at one point, and I see a lot of people do like the .root. We still have a lot of people doing the .sol, but everybody's kind of fragmented now, and everybody's just like in crypto, like looking at it as a whole. And I don't think like people are necessarily like ETH maxis the way we were a few years ago. Personal take. Okay, so this is listen, if you're standing up right now, take a little bit of a seat, my man. So buying other side meta deeds right now feels like robbery. Minters paid like $6,000 instead of $300 to wait an extra 2 years. Okay, so I guess the problem is that, like, so first of all, they did a phenomenal job of hyping it, selling it during the masses. It wrecked an absolute extraordinarily large amount of people within this too. Like, there was people that were trying to double up. There was people paying like $1,000 just in gas to try to get the transaction to go through for these. And like, clearly, we were naive in the sense of like, okay, we think this is going to happen substantially quicker than it was, or that the assets would hold their value because people paid as much for it, but opportunity cost comes in and everybody's pivoting to different things. So I don't know if it's really worth saying like these are robberies right now, because we've seen a lot of games that were hyped up, they've sold off, they've not done the same thing. Like, I don't think we can like speculatively say, oh yeah, because somebody paid $6,000 for this a few years ago, it's a great buy right now at $300, when we don't really know the other components that are associated with it. So I think this tweet is absolutely insane, to be honest. Now, on the topic of insane, imagine being like a large account, this Ancilla Inc., right? And they post a drainer. They post a drainer that's on a comment because they're too stupid. I don't know if the social person was like not been online or whatever, but this is hilarious. For users who are asking how to revoke, please follow the links from this official message from Radiant Capital. And you can look at it and it says Radiant. And there's an R in there. It's not even the right name. Unbelievable. So it says community notice, with users' security being our first concern, we recommend all users temporarily revoke approvals for a contract and full further. And you could see this on every account, right? Like on every account, whenever there's announcements, there's like a ton of comments that are scam accounts. And sometimes I saw the other day where there was like a variation of this and it had like hundreds of comments. It had hundreds of likes and it like looks legit. At first you're like, oh, okay, like this is just the official page, but it's not. Don't fall for it. Good God, pay attention. And oh my goodness, that is tough to see from a bigger player. Unreal. Yo, gosh, what's going on? How are we doing? Down bad holders is a thing in crypto. True. All right. DB saying after he SIM swapped the SEC, he Googled SEC Gov hack. Now, okay, what the hell are we talking about? Do you remember? This was 9 months ago. We streamed it at the time. The SEC Gov account went out and made this post saying today, the SEC grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national securities exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETFs will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. And then they have a quote here from Gary Gensler. It gets 2.6 million views. We absolutely moon. And then they announce and say, well, yeah, that's not the case. And so, I don't really want to play this entire video, but we have different takes on the timeline. So G Gaz is saying it's really simple to explain how this wasn't a hack or compromised account. They could have made way more announcing a rejection. Expectation of approval was 95% plus. A short would have printed way easier and more reliably. So the story now, 9 months later, the individual gets caught and then they go and I guess find their internet search history, and they says he Googled SEC Gov hack. How can I know for sure if I'm being investigated by the FBI? And what are the signs that you are under investigation by law enforcement or the FBI, even if you have not been contacted by them? Yo. You can't make this stuff up. It's phenomenal. Okay, so Bored Ape at Lisbon, they got a little bit of a merch highlight as well as what's going on through the different event. You can see all these different components and things. And I'm pretty sure I thought this was like a store. Where the hell is the store? Shopping. Oh, there we go. The lookbook. This is what we're going for. Okay, so these are the different merch pieces that are at Ape Fest, and I don't know. The ones over in New York were okay. These ones so far, I like the double ape look. They're apparently also offering free tattoos to certain people if you win a raffle. They're doing that there, which is kind of interesting. But more different looks, kind of the silhouette of Curtis the ape with some extra line designs throughout it. It's kind of got an Illuminati feel. It feels like if I was going to a tarot card reader, this would be the merch they would read. Web3 variation, of course. You know what I mean? We got socks in here. We got some different hats. I don't think I've seen a surf hat across Web3 with that kind of material. We have the trucker hat. All looks pretty all right. Some different stickers. These ones are going for $12 to $15 US. I know that VCon, they sold VFriend stickers and they were charging $20 per. And then you can buy a candle. You can buy a BYC bust candle, a middle finger candle for $50. This ceramic vase for $50. which is a BAYC or MAYC one. They have the Bored Ape Beamer jacket as well, different size, but not a bad merch haul. Not a bad. I like it better than some other ones. This is coming out yesterday. Breaking: Venmo's 60 million users in the US can now buy crypto using MoonPay. We talked a little bit about MoonPay earlier, how the Justin Bieber NFT, Post Malone, all of them were funded by MoonPay. Now connecting with Venmo. What do we watch? What do we need to know from MoonPay? And remember, on Monday, or maybe Tuesday, we highlighted the tweet. No, it was Monday. From the, I don't know if it was the president or CEO of MoonPay, but it said big week for MoonPay. Well, it only took a couple days, but we got the news integrating within Venmo. Now it's nice. TMA saying rejected a collab today for an extremely hyped mint. The collab managers baited us to creating a post, taking part in playtests, doing raids, only to come back and tell me they'll give us one guaranteed spot and 3 first come, first serve. So earlier, again, all these shows, we try to kind of like come full circle with different discussions. We highlighted how for Futureverse and Lizard Labs, there was a collaboration and seems good. Right? No problem. However, you see these things and when you look at any kind of hyped up mint, which feels like we've not really had one in recent times, to be honest, like collectively, everybody's interested. Maybe there's one on ETH, maybe there's one on Sol, but it's not like collectively everybody's all about. And then on this one, so this thread, it's like 40,000 views. There's a ton of people saying we had the exact same experience. It was terrible. And then you could clue into like what it was, because a lot of people are saying who the collection was. And I guess it's this L3E7, which was the culprit of like basically swindling all these people. So it's time we were launching our avatar collection, L3E7 Guardians, on October 21st. So this looks like it's a collection that is on Ethereum. So 0.1 ETH, lucky deposit. I mean, we'll look at this just because it's, I'm not trying to like promote it per se, but if there's a lot of suspicious things, is there like signs that this is obviously suspicious? So the Guardians introduction, the L3E7 Guardians, is the upcoming avatar collection offering licensable IP within the game, exclusive tokens, and Stardust access. Stardust unlocking through staking and special in-game rewards. There's going to be 5,000 of these, so it's very small. 3,300 are for claims and mintable for whitelists. So Worlds Holder Airdrop Investor Custom Guardians is just the amount they're going for. 0.1 ETH, a special launch approach will be implemented. You can find the Guardians utilities. The utilities, that's the question, right? Imagine owning a utility-enabled gaming NFT that represents your Web3 identity with stunning artwork. Listen, I like the whole avatar concept, owning something on chain. And maybe it's because I'm like, all right, I've already kind of gone through that phase. But for new people, maybe it's still, hey, they want to find their like online identity. With our gain shared minting mechanism, we're setting a new standard of experience that puts the community first. Okay, not like we've heard that one before. So exclusive access to Stardust and L3E7 token, NFT staking rewards, unlock Stardust credits earned through staking. 3% of L3E7 token will be distributed across unlocked Stardust during various game tests. Treasure chests, blank percent of the token will be allocated to rewards obtained from these chests. Exclusive rewards multipliers when staked in combination with L3E7 Genesis Worlds. Airdrop for Guardian holders, it's a percent. Access to private holder round, premium in-game perks, exclusive game assets, Star Boost boosters, and free character summons within the game, exclusive in-game avatar, additional premium perks, licensable IP. I don't know. This just kind of feels like it looks like a Azuki, but like trying to do the... What was the collection that came out recently that looked like Azuki? It's going to bother me. I'm going to try to see if not... it was called like, not Prime. Hopefully this is still selling somewhat decently. We can find it. Cool Cats, Moonbird, Cyber, Meebits, Potatoes. What is the thing that starts with a P? Persona. That's what I was going to say. Ha ha ha. We got it. So like here, tell me what you like genuinely think. So when you look at like this, right? And then you look at this. And then you look at this, but then you look at this again. Like, am I stupid, or is that basically the same thing? And then, like, okay, so like further to that, let's do like the Azuki, right? So we go to Azuki. All right, there's a couple of them. What do you think of that? What do you think of this? Okay, back to that. Back to this. Back to this. Back to this. I don't know. They just all feel the same. I don't really know. Any runes commentary? Yo, boss, you're gonna absolutely hate. You're gonna hate me. I've really not looked at runes like at all, to be totally honest. I didn't really get it initially, and then we went through like so. I remember, and you might have been around on that stream for it, but I remember DC Roth put out a video that was going over like Bitcoin runes, and it was this lengthy bit, and I remember watching it being like, okay, this seems really in depth, but I don't get anything. But the way that everybody was talking about this, and this was like easily 4+ months ago, was like runes are going to be the biggest thing ever. This is like guaranteed money making. Just the sentiment around there, I don't know. It felt like it was way too hyperbolic for the time. And then I know the market's been like all over the place, and it's like, I think things have like come back down a bit, but I've seen more runes talk like on the timeline in general. So I'm curious if you got anything. You started a week ago. That was why I didn't do it then. Okay, cool. You're like, all right, let the storm pass. See if people are legit. If I miss the train, have to buy in a little bit more expensive, we're down to do it. But I don't want to get burned initially. I respect it. Toasty, I don't like runes because people don't want to spend their Bitcoin. That's interesting. That's a very good point. I mean, I think the conversation around Bitcoin has really gotten more prevalent, where there's still, I think the fact that like the market, generally speaking, outside of like specific coins or like memes, have been kind of like stagnant, where the focus has gone back into Bitcoin, and now we have like all the influencers saying the best thing that happens to alts and everything else is if Bitcoin rips, and Bitcoin's the only thing that rips to 100K, then alts get sent to Valhalla. And all the conversation seems to have switched from what was before of like altcoin, memes, runes, whatever, to, okay, we need Bitcoin to do anything first, because those sections aren't going to break out on their own, or they've not really to it. And I mean, that's excluding like a game here or there. I mean, when Parallel came out, that, holy smokes, that went to like a bill market cap. Really, really good stuff on that sense, but I don't know. It feels weird. There are a couple of catalysts coming that might make them easier to move around. So I saw some things where Magic Eden was trying to get involved with it. And then there was another post that I saw somebody saying that there was a transfer that was supposed to happen, but they didn't get their funds for it. And then somebody commented, well, it takes time and then it'll reject. And I feel like there's some like weird things that you have to be like accustomed to if you're working within like the Bitcoin ecosystem, but people want to hold BTC, not trade it. Well, I mean, I think they'd be willing to trade it if they're like, yeah, this is for sure going up. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. I mean, if people know guarantees, hey man, they're down to do it. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you so much for coming on through. You absolute gems. And if you missed the beginning of this, we'd love for you to replay the session. Or if you're wanting to catch back up on this week of streams, would love for you to go check out. If you're on YouTube, you go to the live feed and you will see a shiitake amount of videos from the past week. Hell yeah. Toasty, Bosch. I appreciate you guys coming on through. And Trader Pops, I don't know if you're still here, but thank you, good sir.